Hi guys, it's James here, back with another video. Um, just hanging out in my place in Thailand, having a coffee. All right, so today we're gonna follow on from our last video where I was talking about moving to China and what led up to that. So today I was thinking about moving on to the next part, which is what happened in the first sort of week or so when I moved over there, and the sheer scale of the change that had happened in my life by moving there. So thanks for tuning in if you are. And so let's get started. So basically, I got my visa through in the post, and I booked my flights. It's going to be a long flight, as you can imagine, but it was we had one stop along the way, and it was in Kiev or however they want to say it, Ukraine, which is pretty interesting. Interesting fun fact there. So remember, this was back in 2016, so this was long before the problems there. So interesting airport. Seemed very kind of basic. Wasn't fancy like some of the airports you see. So anyway, it was like a short stay there, maybe a couple of hours. So I seem to remember the flight was very uncomfortable though, because I'm a big person, about 6'3". Back then I was about 90 kilo, not too heavy, but I got long legs, you know 1 meter and 91. So being on a plane is not always that pleasant for me anyway. So I remember being sandwiched between two other big people, and you're talking about 10 hours, 11 hours, just like that. And yeah, really didn't appreciate that flight. I'd never been on a long haul flight before, so yeah, I was didn't like that much at all. But yeah, I arrived in Beijing. It was about 5 in the morning, around that, between 5 and 6 a.m. And so walked straight out of the doors at the arrivals, and I was looking for a taxi rank, and I'd been told by my company before that the journey would cost to the hotel. They gave me the address, around about 80 RMB, Chinese RMB. So I think that was probably about £8 or something, roughly conversion at that time. It was quite a long ride, like 30-40 minutes. And anyway, I was kind of a bit silly because I saw these guys. I didn't understand that they have these taxi guys with these nice cars. They kind of just hang around at the exit when people arrive, trying to commandeer customers. And of course, I had no idea that these were kind of very expensive taxis. Of course, I wasn't used to this back in the UK. You just don't have that. There just isn't taxis hanging around the airport. That doesn't happen. At least not in the Newcastle airport, anyway. So yeah, I was very naive, as you would expect, I guess, and I just kind of accepted it. I just went, okay, I don't know where I'm going anyway. It's 5 in the morning. I'm very tired, and yeah, I just went with it. And then I found out that they wanted to charge me like 5 times as much, like 500 RMB. And I kind of you know, again, too tired, or found myself in a situation where I just kind of went, oh God, you know, just okay, fine. So he took me to the place. I had the money. Um, Luckily, actually, I told my company about this, and when I got paid my salary, they reimbursed me the difference. So that was very kind of them. I guess they realized that, you know, I had no idea what I was doing, and I got just kind of taken advantage of a bit. But you know, you know, sometimes that stuff happens. Um, so I could afford it. I didn't have a lot of money, but I could afford that. So I arrived at the hotel, and uh, then they tried to charge me for the room, even though the whole thing, the hotel is supposed to have been paid for by the company, you know. So I got there, the guy charged me, so I had to fork out money for the night there. And, you know, I was just, okay, I'm so tired, I need to get to bed. I was so jet lagged, you know, early hours of the morning. And they put me in this room. Remember, it had two large rooms, two large beds. And, you know, I had been due to share with someone, but they hadn't arrived. And, you know, it was kind of February time. The weather in Beijing, very cold, very, very cold. And, you know, yeah, I just tried to get into my room and try and get some rest as best I could. Just tried to get over the jet lag. And so the following morning, I told the company that why did I get charged for this room? And then, funnily enough, when I went to reception, somebody just handed me my money back. So obviously the manager knew about this, but the person who was, you know, there and when I got there didn't know. So amazingly, it was like, okay, fine, I got my money back, you know, because somebody there knew what was going on. So that was good. And then, so yeah, I was pretty happy about that. And then I had a couple of days to just kind of get settled in before I had to start training in my new job. I can't remember exactly how many days, maybe 2 days, something like that. And yeah, that was the real beginning of my adventure there. And so I just spent those couple of days trying to figure out, you know, how to get around. I don't know how many of you have been to Beijing, but or China even, but they have tremendous public transportation. The subway is just, you know, goes everywhere, and it was very affordable and efficient. And so I was just kind of going random places, just having a look around. I seem to remember, wasn't sure quite where to eat, because obviously I didn't speak the language at all. So I ended up basically just going to McDonald's and KFC for everything, and Starbucks. Yeah, Starbucks, because they had, you know, English food. I didn't know what to eat, you know, and most of the restaurants, their menus, they just had Chinese writing. So yeah, it was just Big Mac every day, and then Starbucks, you know, nice sandwich. And of course, these things are expensive there, you know, and I had limited money, so yeah, my funds were starting to drain quite fast. But anyway, that was how I got there. That was the little adventure I had to get there, and so I guess I'll leave it there today. Next, we're going to talk about the training, when I actually started the job and what happened there. And yeah, that was, I seem to remember that was very, very difficult, the training. I had no idea what I was doing. I done a TEFL, but I wasn't prepared for this at all. But anyway, yeah, that's all for today. Thanks for listening. Remember to subscribe and like, and I'll see you next time. See you later.